Hello, and now joining me today is Sylvia Rohde-Liebenau, who is a coach and leadership expert working with the EIB and with leaders beyond the EIB as well. Sylvia, thank you so much for your time and joining us from your home in Luxembourg. Now, first of all, many of us are finding ourselves stranded in this work from home situation. Some people are not working so hard. How is it for you? Are you working more or less?
Oh, personally, I'm working endless days. It feels more. It's probably because I start early and finish late, and it's part of because we are supporting at the EIB currently our managers. I'm in leadership development at the EIB, and they're so busy. The EIB is in the front line of funding COVID research and support to regions. To hospitals, etc. So the banking colleagues are super busy, and so are we to support them.
And when you think about the managerial leadership across the EIB, for example, which is a large organization, and as you say, right at the forefront of funding and research into COVID-19, how do you support them? Do you find that they really value this time away from what they might think about as their core work? How do you manage to get into their busy day?
That is a great question, Lisa. When we first discussed that in the HR team, we said currently our business colleagues, they are busy and they are overwhelmed because everything is now more difficult. It's more difficult to get certain things done because we're all working from home. So our immediate response was, we will not offer them courses to develop long-term or to learn certain skills. We will really focus on the now. So what I did straight away, I wrote a guide on managing virtual teams, really specific for us in our institution. And we have offered a on-call coaching facility, which we don't even call coaching. It's like a space to think, get some time to think through a problem. And that is being used not by tons of people, but by managers who see, I have a problem now, and it would be really helpful to step back. And I know myself, like when we're under pressure, we just leave me alone, I got to sort this out. But actually it's the moment where you need to step back to get some air and to think more clearly.
Just thinking about the program that you will have written, of course it will be confidential for within the EIB, but are you able to share any of the tips with our viewers, who many of whom will have to be leading teams or being part of a team from home?
Sure. I mean, that's nothing confidential because it's hopefully it's good practice simply. So we are telling managers to think of three main things. I call it the 3 R's, which is the results. So to keep focusing on the results, on the task, and on that part, be super clear. The second is the relationship. Don't forget about the relationship to the people. And the third, basically the fundament, is resilience. So keep in mind that when under pressure, we could lose resilience. And discussing with the people, what I found is really important there about the results, the tasks. We have to be more explicit. We have to be more clear. Sometimes it's easy when we see each other during the day, we throw a comment and then we believe that someone else has already understood and we can check back. Here we have to be much more clear about, this is what I need. Have you understood? Call the person and then put it in writing if necessary. The second is on the relationship. We have to be more intentional to say things or to reach out to someone where it could be easy at the office. Let's go for coffee, chat it over, etc. In the virtual work, well, we really have to think, what is the issue here? I don't know. So I reach out, I ask, and I will say something.
In the virtual world, it is very interesting to hear you say, and I think many of us will have experience of this, trying to get your message across to somebody. Do you recommend that being done in a multitude of ways, by email, a telephone call? I mean, I suppose they're the only two ways we can do it at the moment. But like you say, we can't just go for that soft coffee and chat over a subject. Which would you prefer? Would it be a telephone call or an email?
Oh, that's a very good question, because email is so much quicker and easier, but then we never know how the person will understand the email that we write. So when it's not something factual, I mean, it's the good old rule, when it's not passing on information or confirming something that we discuss, it should always be the call. And it might seem that we lose some time, but in the end we win time because we have spoken to the person, which also allows us to check in or to ask, did you understand what I say? And to say a word of appreciation, for instance, which comes through much better when we say it with our voice rather than writing it on a mail. So that's really important.
Thank you for that snippet of advice. Now, thinking about those 3 R's: results, relationships, and resilience. Resilience must be something you come across again and again in your work as a coach, and not just as a coach, but personally as well. I know that about a decade ago, if you want to share with us, you had to build up your own inner strength. If you want to share that story, it's up to you.
Yeah. Well, yes, resilience. So maybe I start with what I see today, because that's relevant for all of us. I think now we are in a situation of uncertainty and confusion, and we don't know yet how long this will last, and we are thrown out of our habitual ways of working and being. So that eats away on our resilience. And what I found there, first thing is to simply accept what is, to relax into it, because we can't change COVID-19, it's there. So all the energy I waste into, or I put into, I don't like this, it's just wasted energy, because whether I like it or not, it's there. So I'd better just accept it and relax into it and say, what can I do? What is under my control? And so I think that is something that is really important for resilience, and then take care of that, take care of my body, take care of my emotions, how I focus, etc. But to speak about myself, so I mentioned to you, Lisa, that I had breast cancer 10 years ago, and I thank God that it was not a very heavy part, but it was a shock to me. So at the time, I was thrown out of my rails because everything had been fine. I mean, death is something that happens to other people, but not necessary to me, or much later. And I felt awful because my daughters were still so young, and I felt like this might end here and I have to be there for them. So I was inside myself, I was really completely tossed around. And then I realized that, well, this is what it is. This is truth. This is what I'm facing now. And what can I learn from it? So I think the first thing that struck me, what can I learn from this experience, and who am I really, and what do I want to do with my life? And looking at these questions, what do I want to do with my life, with whatever life I have, and how can I be the best version of myself today? That really helped me during that time. So not to waste energy as I don't like it. No, I don't like it, and I pray that this doesn't happen again in my life. But whether I like it or not, it's there. So just deal with it, and then also be grateful what is there for the moments and what works and all these things. That is what personally I have felt really helped me through that difficult period.
I think of you and many people that I've come across in my life who have these, and I suppose in different ways we all have similar stories in our lives. Nobody has a straightforward life. I remember Hillary Clinton once saying during her crisis with her husband, she had to dig deep. And I imagine when you're dealing with the leaders in your work, you have to teach them, if they haven't already got that very hard base, how to dig deep into themselves.
Yeah, and that sometimes is scary, isn't it? I mean, that's what I felt myself, and what I see that successful people often, they are so driven, and the show must go on, that it's really difficult to say, let's stop here. Let's look what I'm doing, and let's dig deep. And sometimes it's probably in the painful moments that it's just flung into our face, and we have to do it. And actually, there's an opportunity to to do it also when life is not throwing too much stuff at us, and it can be very resourcing, very good to gain that resilience, to take time from time to time to, as you say, dig deep. Who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose?
Not everybody can cope as beautifully as you seem to have coped. Of course, we're speaking to you now 10 years on, when you also have this wonderful work under your belt and a lot of knowledge too. But for people who are struggling and feeling as though they can't cope with everything that's on their plate, perhaps the challenges that come with perhaps relatives in other countries who are ill. Some people are dying in other countries and burials are an issue. We can't attend them. Young children at home, often very difficult if you're trying to work at the same time. Have you any very basic coping mechanisms for those who feel they are just under siege?
Probably there is no mechanism. It can be very difficult. And again, to just realize this is really difficult right now and I'm about to freak out is already a better step than just freaking out and doing it. So going into, ooh, this is really getting much. So already the awareness I find has helped me and is certainly helping. And then what I believe is to really be aware of how we function. So really to know and be aware of that my body needs some rest. If I want to function well, I need to get some sleep. If I want to function well, I need to eat healthily. If I want to function well, even if I have these constraints, I need to get my body moving each day. That's really the basic. And we sometimes forget about it, or we believe that we don't have the time. But exactly now is a moment where we have to say, if I don't do that, I'm emptying myself and I can't be there anymore for others. And then, as of course, the other part is the emotions, to take care of how I interpret certain things, what am I doing to myself if I spend time talking negatively about what's going on. That's actually not helping me. Maybe look at what is a possibility, what is helpful in this moment. And so we are talking to ourselves all the time, better talk in a positive way. And the other thing is, I was just talking to a manager who told me, I can't multitask. The women can multitask better. My idea is none of us can multitask. It's not a good idea. So if I'm here with my daughters need me, or my husband needs me, or I have to do this or that, just to know that I need to keep things in order. If I try to do things all at once, it just, again, it's going to drain me. And knowing that it's just not possible helps.
It's lovely to have your reflections of family life there too. Just thinking about the leaders that you deal with, what makes a leader? A good leader, I should add.
That's a long story.
We have a few minutes.
In my view is, and I love it that you ask it here in this context, because I believe that what is currently going on, and I'm not only talking about families or companies, but countries, it really shows us about leadership, how much we need great leaders right now. And I must say that our Prime Minister, Xavier Bettel, he has shown great leadership, because he has come out with clear messages, with reflecting excellent crisis management that is clear and transparent, and there is trust. So if you ask me what makes great leadership, I would say it's leadership that takes in knowledge. So you have to listen to the scientists, you have to listen to your expert if you talk about a company. You have to be proactive, so you have to take steps in time, and you have to be collaborative, reach out to others, and allow collaboration, not say we can do it all ourselves or we take it all to ourselves, but work in networks among disciplines or with countries. I think these three things, to to reach out, to be proactive, and to be very clear in communication are very important leadership. And then to build trust so that people actually can follow you.
And when you're dealing with the management board of the EIB or such like, how do you make them listen to you?
Well, personally, I don't deal with our management board, but I deal with the practical leaders, like the leaders who manage our directorates or the teams. And I believe that in my profession as a coach and leadership expert, I can be most helpful when I listen to the people. I shouldn't be going there and tell them to do this, do that. This is the theory. It's more, how can I help? What is your challenge? And then, yes, I can tell them what I just said. Well, it's really helpful if you're proactive, if you collaborate. But then I know also it's sometimes difficult. So the question then is, how can I help the person, the human being who has the leadership function, to do that in the best way? What is their challenge? What is standing in their way? And to help in that practical way.
And do you think there are some people who just shouldn't be leaders? Do you think there's a certain type of quality that makes a particular type of leader? Or do you think everybody has the potential to be a leader once they find it within themselves?
Oh, I certainly believe that everyone has the potential. And that's what I tell, especially young people, that leadership is not only about like being the big leader, someone leading a country or a company. It can be taking up leadership for your own life, or it can be taking up leadership in a group or in the family. So a mother can be a fantastic leader in her family. And yet I think there are some qualities that you need to have. A leader should be generous and responsible and not selfish. You can only really take leadership if you're open. That I think is important for all of us, for a mother, for a high school student, for a company leader, and it particularly holds for leaders of power, to be responsible and to serve the people that you're leading.
Well, we managed to hear all of that. At points, the image froze, but I'm hoping that the message is clear. I think we're all struggling with internet connections because everybody is on the system somewhere from their homes across the world. In fact, I thank you so much. If there's any kind of final thoughts you'd like to impart to our RTL Today audience, your words of wisdom with your experience, we'd be delighted to hear them.
Well, I just believe it's very important to be gentle to ourselves in this moment, to really take care of ourselves and not to get stuck in the difficulties of now, deal with what is important now, but also think that there will be a time after COVID, and that we can also get our energy from projecting ourselves in the future and saying, like, what am I going to do after all this is done? And there will be something beautiful coming towards us in the summer.
Oh, thank you so much. Such a lovely thought to look forward to. Sylvia, I know you've got a busy day ahead of you, plenty of calls from your lovely office there at home. Thank you for your time, and we wish you and your family well during the next few weeks. Hopefully it'll be only a week before we can all walk out and have a drink together in real life. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Lisa. It's been a real pleasure.